Okay, we're here with the bus, and first step really is to get all these seats out of here. And I'm interested in what is the best way, and I know best way can mean different things for different people. So it could mean the fastest way, it could mean the cheapest way, it could mean the easiest way, it could be the way that you have if you're by yourself or with a partner. So I'm going to explore some options and see if I can discover what the best way is and share it with you. Alright, so one of the first things we've got to do is we've got to take off these seats so we can get access to the chair rail bolts. So come under here like that, and just twist this like that. Twist that one like that. And the seat should just pop right up. The whole thing up like this. Pop it out. There you have a seat. Exposed. Oh my god, look at all the crap in there. And we've got to get those bolts undone there. And we've got to get those bolts done. Get those bolts out. So one thing you could do is you could have someone underneath holding on to these bolts with a wrench and someone else from twisting up top. But I don't really have anybody to work with me today. Julie's off to work, and those are looking pretty rusted. I'm not sure if they're going to come off anyway. So I think I'm going to not even test that option because I don't see it as being viable for me. Another option is to take an impact driver and just try to crank on or off the bolts. Sometimes if you can loosen them up, maybe they'll go and you can put some pressure on it. But the nut on the bottom will probably spin, so it's kind of tough to do that. The other option is to crank it super tight and hope that the bolts actually snap off. So I have my, and I've got this 8-gallon compressor, and so we'll give it a shot. My sense is I'm not going to have really enough power to get many of them, but I might be able to get some of them. So let's just see how it goes. Yeah, like I thought, they just sort of spun around. So I've got an angle grinder and a cutting wheel, and I want to time. I'm kind of curious to how long it will take to cut them straight off. So I'm going to time them. Okay, I averaged a minute and a half per bolt to cut those out. I just had to fix that air hose because one of the caps, one of the heads of the bolts flew off after I'd done cutting it and landed right on the air hose and put a hole in it. So I just had to patch that, and so it seems to be working okay. Averaging a minute and a half, 1, 2, 3, so it's about 6 minutes per seat. And I went through about that much of that grinding wheel. So that could be significant, going through a bunch of, there's the new one, and that's about the size of the old one. So that might chew up some cutting wheels to get through all these seats. So I may try one other technique even. All right, to save cutting wheels, I'm going to try a different strategy too. I'm going to use the cutting wheel to get started, cut a little slice in it, and then I'm going to use an air chisel to see if I can pop it off. Maybe that will save going through 175 cutting wheels or whatever it's going to take. So it's taken me about 7 minutes to go through a seat, which isn't terrible, and I've used about that much of that grinding wheel. And I'm wondering if there's a way to even save on the grinding wheels a little bit more. I'm not sure if it'll make it faster or not, but I figure I'd try it. I read about it. And I'm going to grind the front edge of the head off so I can get to the, to the bolt part a little bit faster. And so I'm going to go around all 4 of those bolts, grind the front off, and then cut it off and see what that does. Okay, so that took me 7 minutes and 8 seconds to get that seat out. So about the same time, and but I think it took a lot less wear and tear on that cutting blade. So I'm about halfway done on my seats here. So what I found, I think, to be the best for me is I'm going to grind off the fronts of all the heads and then change the blade and go back and use a cutoff wheel to finish them back out. Alright, so I ground and I cut all the bolts off, and now I'm just going to pop up each seat and tear it out. Okay, phew, got all the seats out yesterday. I was pretty tired by the end, but did them all in between 4 and 5 hours, which I thought was pretty good. Julie helped me on the first day, and so that was pretty helpful. And then yesterday I was pretty much on my own and got it all done. So a couple things that I learned. It was so much easier, I think, to go through and pop out all the seat bottoms first, so then they're exposed, and then go by with an impact driver and take out all the chair rail nuts and bolts. I love this. This was great to sort of impact driver. Most of the time I didn't even need to hold the nut on the bottom of the bolt. I just cranked them right out, and maybe 10 out of the total of them I needed to put a wrench, an open face wrench on the bottom and hold that from spinning, but for the most part they just kind of popped right out. So took all the chair rail bolts out, which worked pretty good. And then ultimately what I really like doing is getting a initial cut with a grinding wheel. So it's a little bit thicker, and I'd work in at an angle, and I can just kind of show you what I mean. So I'd work in with the grinding wheel at an angle this way, because it better matches the angle here, and then work on this way like that. I found that if I didn't use the grinding wheel first, if I just tried the cutting wheel, I would get a funky angle and I would sort of get too deep, and I was chewing through most of the cutoff wheels. So one challenge is that sometimes you don't get all the way through the head, underneath the head into the bolt, so you still get some head on there left to sort of hold this sort of plate on. So, but if I could get started with the grinding wheel, and at first I was going through the top of the head to take the front off and then working to it, but that seemed to take a lot longer, and really all I needed to do is sort of just get in front of that bolt, just kind of off to the side, and work my way around and get a groove going, and then I kind of went through the cutoff wheel. But I went through the whole bus and initially ground all the bolts first, and then I came back with a cutoff wheel, cut off the bolts for one seat. Kind of that took a little bit of time was to work around the heaters and try to mess around with trying to get the seats around the heaters, and then the front two seats and the front two support bars took a little bit of time, and then of course keep an eye on the dog and taking a lunch break. But did the whole thing in about between 4 and 5 hours. So hope this has been helpful. Hit that like, share button, do what you do if it has been. And again, today I'm going to work on starting on the taking out the heaters cores, but that's the next video too. Until then, I'll see you then.